Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Jeff and today we are going to have some fun playing Magic. And the fun thing that we're trying to do today is we're playing Familiar's Adaptation. So Familiar's Adaptation based around Biomancer's Familiar. So this is a card that I actually haven't tested out at all. I've run into it like once or twice in games, and I've been thinking about doing something with this for forever because I think it's a really fun card. So Biomancer's Familiar, if you don't know what it does, it's a green and a blue mutant 2/2. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the amount of mana it costs down to less than 1 mana. You can tap the next time a target creature adapts this turn. It adapts as though it had no +1/+1 counter, so it can adapt even though it has counters on it. So things like Incubation Druid. So Incubation Druid, you instead of costing 5 mana to adapt it, it costs 3. So you can put 3 counters for 3 mana as long as you have both these guys out, and then it can tap itself. Biomancer's Familiar can tap itself, and you can adapt again for 3 mana using the Incubation Druid to do it. So you could get 6 power onto Incubation Druid for only 3 mana, really, as long as it has the ability to tap down. So really fun stuff you can do with this. Zagana, really awesome as well. It's going to pump all of our creatures. All creatures with +1/+1 counters get trample. We have Skatewing Spy in here, which can also adapt if it's really cheap with Biomancer's Familiars. It can get pretty good. But each creature you control with +1/+1 counter has flying, and then we have Herald of Secret Streams, which creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them can't be blocked. So I'm actually a huge fan of this card. I initially had built a really awesome deck around Explorer with this, and it's a lot more powerful than people think. The biggest issue with it is if they can remove it after you swung in. They remove it, all of a sudden all your creatures can be blocked. You can get a pretty big blowout because of that. But we're trying to kind of double up on different effects and do a couple things there. Trollbed Guardian, it's actually not bad. So 5 mana for 5/5 that can, for 1 mana oftentimes in our deck, also be a 7/7 with trample. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. So that's actually not terrible. I actually am kind of surprised that there's a lot of other things that are really good in green besides this, but it's actually a pretty surprisingly good card. So look out for that one. And then we have Shapers of Nature, and we have Simic Ascendancy to kind of get us there. Hydroid Crisis to make sure that we're drawing into all of our other creatures. Dive Down to protect our Biomancer's Familiar. And that's pretty much the deck. So let's go ahead and get into the gameplay, see how it goes, because I haven't tested this one out at all. Like, I really just am excited to try it out. So wish me luck. Here we go. Before we jump into the gameplay, a quick thanks to Fusion Gaming for sponsoring this video. Be sure to head over to FusionGamingOnline.com for all your Magic the Gathering needs. Check the link in the description below. Alright, here we are against Mr. Pompous, and we are playing our Familiar Adaptation deck, and so the goal of this deck really is to, yeah, we're going to keep this. The goal of this deck is to try to just stall out the game a little bit. Like, we're trying to build a big enough board, a lot of creatures, getting value out of each of our creatures that are out there, so that then we can also just slam down one of our things that give all of our creatures evasiveness, and we swing in for victory, or have 2 turns to swing in. And that's kind of the goal of this deck, what we're trying to do. So let's bring down Growth Chamber Guardian, swing in for 1. We will probably get down Zagana here instead of just adapting. Although getting stuff out of our deck is a good way to go. All right, Sea-Torn Ceratox. So what we do here is we swing in here with Growth Chamber. If they block, all right, yeah. So down to 17. So I'm guessing they're playing Enraged stuff. Let's get down Forest and Zagana. Pass the turn. So a Biomancer's Familiar actually is pretty useful next turn. We can adapt and play it. But we also might just get down this Trollbed Guardian, because it's going to be pretty big on the next turn. Okay, so this has first strike? No, it's just a 2/2. Okay, let's just get down Trollbed Guardian, and we'll just pass the turn, no attacks. Again, we're just building up our deck, and then if we adapt all these guys on the next few turns, then the Skatewing Spy just kind of dominates it for us. Alright, Hieromancer's Cage onto Zagana. That's a bummer. We have the same ability, so this one also gives trample for +1/+1 counters, but Trollbed Guardian does as well. All right, so let's see. How much mana do we have here? I think what we want to do is... All right, so we're going to swing in with Trollbred Guardian. Keep putting on that pressure. Down to 12. We're just going to adapt here with Growth Chamber Guardian now because we want to play the Growth Chamber Guardian that comes out with it. Growth Chamber Guardian. Breeding Pool tapped and pass the turn. And so we actually have a board with lethal if he attacks in at all. Alright, there's Shalai. So they do have blockers for flyers now. Breeding Pool means that we can adapt the Trollbred Guardian. Ooh, Shark to Crab. Alright, so let's... just making sure I have the right amount of mana. Yeah, this is such a big hit that it'll be good. So, pay the 2 life. Skate Wing Spy. We have to adapt one of these now. So let's... We could just swing with both of the Growth Chamber Guardians. Actually, we can swing with everything now still this way. So, do it before we declare attackers. I mean, we could do it like as we're declaring attackers, but... And I'll attack. They could double block the Trollbred Guardian, but it doesn't make sense for them to do it, yeah. Alright, so down to 3. And this deck is working pretty much exactly as we wanted it. With the Biomancer's Familiar, it gets better, but, I mean, that's a 7/7. No blocks. It looks like this is a concession. Yeah, opponent scoops it up. Well, the deck was working really, really well there. The biggest issue with this deck is just that we don't have a lot of interaction necessarily, but we have a lot of ways to draw cards and just to keep growing our board as long as we hit the right cards. All right, up against a Bomb, 22, a Bomb. And we're playing our Familiar's Adaptation deck. And a little bit slower than I'd like. So I included this Combine Guildmage because I think it'd be kind of fun. It does give counters to a lot of stuff right away. I think we need a mulligan this one, though. Just slow plays. We don't really have any way to ramp up into our better stuff. This is looking better. Not a ton better, but better. This would actually be pretty good if we had Biomancer's Familiar, because then we can Incubation Druid, adapt, and have so much more mana suddenly. Alright, well, it looks like opponent is playing. I was thinking that he timed out on the mulligan, and now he's thinking everything through. Man, slow players like this makes it pretty frustrating, where they let themselves not do stuff for a bit. Anyway, let's get down. Is there anything we'd actually... No, wait, we can get down as Zagana. What am I thinking? Let's get down Zagana. Alright, so Forest. Let's see what this is. This might be Elf March. I could see that being the case. Alright, Draconic Disciple, so a lot of ramp. Breeding Pool. That lets us adapt with our Incubation Druid, which I think is what we want to do here. So let's swing in with Zagana. Down to 16, we will play Breeding Pool untapped and pass the turn. So this way we can block, like if they think that they can get in, we can at least block with Incubation Druid, or they try to strike it or something like that, and we can adapt it. We do have to tap itself, but that's okay, because then we have a massive Hydroid Crisis on the next turn. Yep, that'll be good. That'll be very, very fantastic. Alright, Rekindling Phoenix. Perfect. Alright, so this Hydroid Crisis is exactly what we want to be doing now. Alright, so adapt. So much more manas. We could swing in. Actually, they just block it. It gets trample though, and we can swing through and get some damage in at least. But I would rather improve our board in our hand. So let's go ahead with Hydroid Crisis X5, I believe is right. Yes. All right, get to draw a couple more cards. Shark to Crab actually isn't terrible. Let's get down. Actually, do we want to keep Dive Down up? I don't think they have anything that really kills our stuff. Maybe a Lava Coil, but let's get down the Benthic Biomancer. That's pretty good. And no attacks. Pass the turn. Now we have a blocker for Rekindling Phoenix. It also has Trample, so even though they can pretty much chump block with Rekindling Phoenix over and over again, we can still get some damage through. And we're in pretty decent shape. They have a lot of mana here, though. They could have like a Palaka Worm or something. So Shark to Crab... this is where it gets really good with a Biomancer as familiar, because we can do it multiple times. So we adapt one whenever one or more counters is put onto Shark to Crab, tap target creature under opponent control. So we could just keep doing that, being able to swing in. We also do have Herald of Secret Streams, honestly. So maybe we just play that and start swinging in with a crew. Yeah, actually, that's probably what we do. We have quite a bit of damage. If we adapt here, then we have 10 damage each turn that is unblockable. All right, that's good. That's the better thing to do. Man, opponent has been just passing their turn over and over again. All right, opponent concedes. Well, we did have 10 damage that we could do unblockable that turn, so yeah, we're pretty happy there. All right, up against Tarlo, 78, and we want to find a Biomancer's familiar. Like, I've played quite a few games now, and it's just never been in my hand. And we've played, pretty long games and not drawn into it. Okay, we got to mulligan that. Yeah, okay. To the bottom, we are looking for lands or familiar, I believe, here. So, get down Benthic. We're not going to fire it off right away. We actually like our hand at the moment. That is the biggest issue with this, is that you have to discard a card as well. But being able to adapt it's not bad. Get a little bit bigger. You know what? We might... let's just Growth Chamber Guardian. Swing in. Down to 19. Common Guild Mage is actually pretty interesting, but not until you can... I'd say it's great for, like, later game. Alright, Lava Coil. Alright, swinging in now. Down to 18. We might end up needing to... Alright. Oh man, now we have mana for the stuff we want. Alright, we gotta draw the card first, so let's adapt. Yeah, discard Island, play Forest. Actually, we want to be able to activate that, don't we? So hold back the Benthic. We get at least swing in for 2. And pass the turn. We're going to adapt just to see if we can draw into something else here as well. Alright, Vanguard. Alright, adapt here. So this way we can actually get a counter onto Incubation Druid right away. That way we ramp up our mana quite a bit. And we can see if we can maybe find something else cheap to play, like a Growth Chamber Guardian would be great. Oh, that's a tough choice, actually. Let's get rid of the breeding pool. There we go. All right, we're gonna go ahead and still use this ability first. Incubation Druid with a counter. Swing in. They're going to block and take the damage. Oh, they're going to double block one. Well, we are absolutely going to hit the Dento Vanguard. And we're getting plenty of damage out of this 2-2. You know, like, that's fine. Okay, they let it die. That's an amazing trade for us. They probably think that, I guess they're low enough that Dento Vanguards are kind of a liability. Alright, Lava Quill the Druid. Boo. Alright, if we find land, we're going to Trollbed Guardian. Alright. Swing in. Biomancer's Familiar means that we can do this for 1. And we can actually put a counter onto Familiar first, so we can get a little bit out of range of shocks. So it enters a battle with it instead of when it enters a battlefield. So that is good. Ooh, that's fantastic. All right, yeah, so we're definitely doing this now. So tap. Biomancer's Familiar. Enters with a counter. Adapt. I mean, I guess I could do it afterwards, but let's see if they want to trade off for the Benthic Biomancer again. But then with Herald of Secret Streams on the next turn, we just have victory. So Benthic Biomancer or Biomancer's Familiar, and actually Combine Guildmage working pretty okay with this deck. I mean, opponent's been playing fairly slow. All right, Biomancer's Cage, Trollbed Guardian, which means that we just win with the Biomancer's Familiar. All right, Herald of Secret Streams. And swing in Unblockable. Yes! Good game, opponent. Oh, that was pretty fun. All right, well, there you guys have it with Familiar's Adaptation, and I was able to test it out on a couple games. And I was actually kind of frustrated because we didn't draw into Biomancer's Familiar that often. And I mean, I could have had a little more card draw to make that happen, focus on a little bit more. But I actually liked the rest of the deck. Like, the rest of the deck, just going around Herald of Secret Streams or Skatewing Spy wasn't terrible. Like, it actually was helping us out in quite a few games. I'm not showing every game here in this video. I will be putting up a few more onto my Patreon account. So if you guys want to check that out, it's in the link down below. I am putting this one up to public for everyone to see, so you don't have to pay to do it. But there are a bunch more that you do have to pay to see. Not pay, but if you guys can support me, it's really, really helpful. Because when I first started this channel, I was working 4 other jobs and doing the YouTube channel as well. Now I've been able to get down to where I'm only doing 1 or 2 other jobs. Kind of, it depends on what you count. But and anyway, so it's been really, really awesome. I've been able to get sponsors, but even with all of that, it really helps if you guys can help support me as well. So anyway, thank you guys so much for all that you do, and thanks. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.